Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone around the world who are joining us on site activities in Hanoi, Vietnam, and the online conference in Zoom webinar and SEAPAVAA Facebook Live. And this year is very special because we organize in mixed format. Welcome all of you to the Symposium Session 1 of SEAPAVAA Conference, Case Studies of Change Management, Administrative, Leadership, Political, Technological Part 1. And my name is Pawarisa Nipawattanapong from the Government Public Relations Department, Thailand, the moderator for this session. Before we start, I would like to inform that if you have any questions during the presentation, please type in a Q&A box or in Facebook comment. We will collect and answer them at the end of the presentation. And our first presenter is Mr. Tuan, the Vice Head of the Technical Department from Vietnam Film Institute. Today, he will present in the topic, the digitization task of Vietnam Film Institute in the changing time of technology. And please welcome Mr. Tuan to the panel to give us more information about yourself and your presentation.
Thanks to SEAPAVAA for giving us an opportunity to become the host of this annual conference. From the bottom of our heart, we are so honored, grateful, and proud of this opportunity. I hope that I can visit you soon in Vietnam in the new normal stage after the Digitizations improve. This year's our conference about audio-visual archiving in changing time. So I decided to share about the digitization task of Vietnam Film Institute in changing time of technology. The rapid development of technology putting audiovisual archives in developing countries into a difficult situation at equipment which are huge capital soon become obsolete and over tend to lag behind in time of technology. For organizations with limited budgets like Vietnam Film Institute, those difficulties and challenges are inevitable and become more and more pronounced. In 2005, I joined VFI, and at that time, VFI started using Spirit data scene system and chose digital beer cams as our destination formats for exploitation. The DPX formats was mostly used for film restoration experiments because the speed of scanning to these formats was very slow, only about 4 frames per second, and our data storage was very limited. Up to the end of 2012, we digitized about 10,000 film reels to digital Betacams format. We are preserving about 40,000 film reels in our film storage, but each film title is preserved in several copies and in different types of films like negative, positive, and intermediate. So the total film number needs to be digitized only about 35,000 to 30,000 film reels. So the result of 10,000 film reels can count for almost half of our digitization work. But at that time, the information from the Sony Vietnam manufacturer that they stopped producing new recorder of the digital Betacam format. It means that the life cycle of this format come to its end, and we have to spend almost 3 years to transfer all the digital Betacam format to the AV5 for continued usage. In 2015, VFI started using the Golden Archery film scanner system. It allows us to scan film to digital file at up to 2K resolution and 10 frames per second speed. We also chose 2K DPX as our storage format and 2K NOV as our work format. We have scanned about 4,000 film reels so far, and it's a very limited number. That's why for speeding up the process of digitization, we have to rent outside technical services to scan film to 4K. But the cost of these technical services is expensive, so that we cannot do it regularly. So the result is not high as our expectation in volume. All our scanning data were kept in both offline hard drive and audio tape, and both of these carriers were kept in our film storage. But both offline hard drive and audio tape have their own issues if they are used as the storage for the long term. For the offline hard drive, they may be failed at any time, and it's high risk to lose data inside. And for audio, we have to migrate data from the older generation to the newer generation before all of the recorder of the older generation disappear. For the short term ahead, we will have to gradually migrate data from audio 6, audio 7 to audio 8. At this moment, when 4K film scanners are used popularly in many countries, and there are even some 10K film scanner on the market, but we are still aiming to get a new 4K film scanner. We don't know how long to get the new film scanners, but in our opinion, it's urgent to digitize all our 35mm film to the 4K. For the next few years, at least, we have to scan all our 35mm negative to 4K and find suitable solution for this a huge amount of data. It can be a small data center, for example. To actualize this idea, we cannot rely on our budgets only, because it's very limited. That's why our leaders are trying to call for support, sponsors, and cooperation from the socials at large, especially firms and companies. There are different opinions, but if the 35mm film frame is supposed to be equivalent to a digital image with over 5K format, then 5K resolution, then we have, for the long term, we will have to upgrade our technology one more time up to getting to the 4K. We don't know how long our film digitization process will be. But at every changing time of technology, we always have to rescan our collection from the beginning. So for the long term ahead, the most important to preserve our film collection wealth, prolong the longevity of films as long as possible. And for this, we have to ensure to condition the first, maintaining best possible macro environment of film storage. Secondly, regularly monitoring, inspecting, and evaluating the technical condition of films to appropriate handling measures. For the first condition, we at ICOM completely developed the two national standards for film evaluation and classification. They are basing on the equivalent adoption of two international standards. At this moment, no film archive, no film storage of Vietnamese film archive can meet all the requirement of these two national standards. But they're not only our goal to aiming to, they also the way for us to approach the international standard step by step. And for the second condition, we are completely a national standard for film evaluation and classification. Based on the classifying results, films will be appropriately handled and films which are more damaged will be digitized in priority. In conclusion, the rapid development of technologies not only create a lot of opportunity, but also pose many challenges to audiovisual archives. With a limited budget, VFI is always faced with many difficulties and challenges, including the risk of technical obsolescence and lagging behind in comparison to developed countries. However, if the opportunity are taken advantage of, the technology will also bring about great support for the audiovisual storage. Therefore, the sooner the digitization strategy of audiovisual material is implemented, the better it will be in preserving national audiovisual heritage, contributing to preserve and promote the national cultural identity. That's all my presentation. May I wish the conference great success. May I wish the distinguished delegates good health and happiness, and thanks for your attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tuan, for the excellent presentation. And we will go to the next presentation, the transformation of National Archives of the Republic of Indonesia in the preservation of motion pictures archives. And our speaker is Mr. Kurniawan Budi Santoso from National Archives of the Republic of Indonesia. And please have the floor to give briefly introduction about yourself and have your presentation.
Thank you, Pawarisa. Chào buổi sáng, xin chào. Thank you and good morning, everybody, and also to all of our audience, my dear colleagues. It is an honor for me to be able to have opportunity to speak in this noble forum of SEAPAVAA. First, allow me to introduce myself. My name is Kurniawan Budi Santoso, but you can call me just Budi. I'm an archivist. I was in preservation department in National Archive of the Republic of Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, my dear colleagues, every archival institution must have challenges and limitations in carrying out their function. In this case, the preservation function. So we in the National Archive of the Republic of Indonesia have the same challenge and limitation too. In this opportunity, I would like to share ANRI's experience about how we have transformed to face or to overcome the challenges and limitations that we have, especially in preserving motion picture archive. I hope that what I present here can be useful for anyone who may have the same challenges and limitations as we are in ANRI. First, as an introduction of our institution, the National Archive of the Republic Indonesia, or ANRI, has four main offices. First, head office in South Jakarta, And second, we have an exhibition hall in the central Jakarta. And then we have a training center or archival training center in city of Bogor in the West Java. And also we have a tsunami archive in city of Banda Aceh, the westernmost tip of Indonesian territory. In addition, there are also a provincial archive in each province. There are about 34 offices. Each the provincial archive office also hold number of collection of local archives. So you can imagine how huge the number of the archive we should preserve. This large size of territory and number of offices became our first challenge. And then about the collection. At the Jakarta office only, we have large collection. Our oldest collection of paper archive from the early 17th century. The collection of the VOC or Dutch Trading Company at the time. And this is the largest collection of VOC in the world, which currently designated by UNESCO as a memory of the world. And we have digitized about 14% of it. You can find it in our website. And the other collection are also very numerous: photographs, maps, and drawing, voice records, final record, posters, and microfilm, and also the motion picture archive collection. We have more than 100,000 collections, consisting of almost 60,000 film reels in the form of 35 millimeters, 16 millimeters, and 18 millimeters film reel. Then around 40,000 videotapes or video cassettes of various types. Our motion picture archive consists of government official documentary, government's program dissemination, personal documentary of a national figure, education program, and movie products and movie theater produced by our state film company. This large number of archive collection is becoming our second challenge. And the next challenge, we can see the geography location. Indonesia is located in the equatorial region with a tropical climate. The existence of archives is faced with the challenges of temperature and humidity, which are highly destructive for our archive collection. A friend archivist, Yves Bertang, said, "Vietnam Hill struggle is the work of the tropical archivist." It means that doing job as an archivist in tropical countries is a very tough task, especially in preserving a collection, most especially in preserving motion picture archives. This geographical location of Indonesia at the equator with tropical climate is the third challenge for us in National Archive of the Republic of Indonesia. And then the fourth challenge is that the preservation motion picture archive or audiovisual archive is the most challenging in the archival world compared to the other of archives, such as a textual archive, a maps, a drawing, or photograph. Because the preservation of motion picture archive requires first higher technology, which always keep changing and getting better from time to time. And then second, preservation of motion picture archive also requires higher technical, organizational, or individual capability and capacity. For example, need skill of information technology, about network, about software or image editor. And the third, preservation of motion picture also need a higher cost. the equipment price is so expensive. Also, the system or software license. And this becomes a challenge for developing countries such as our country, Indonesia, with various limitations such as human resource capacity, organizational capacity, national development priority, which will have an impact on budget allocation. As an illustration, the budget of our archival programs is only 1/10,000 or 0.0001 of the national budget. And only about 8% maybe of it is allocated for preservation programs. Mostly, a developing country priority development is on education, health, job, or maybe infrastructure. But this condition not became an excuse for not doing our best to preserve the archive, especially motion picture archive. To overcome all these challenges, the National Archive of the Republic of Indonesia always transforming itself by trying to make the best use of existing resources. The transformation we do are in policy transformation to achieve performance effectiveness, and transformation in preservation strategy to obtain the best quality within our limitation, and then transformation of the quality of the human resource, both in recruitment and skill improvement, so that their abilities will increase. And also the transformation in archive access service business process to be more efficient. These are what I want to share on this precious opportunity this morning. The transformation of the National Archive of the Republic of Indonesia, especially in the preservation of motion picture archive, can be described as a milestone as follows. First milestone, before year 2000, the digital world had not been starting rapidly in Indonesia as it is today. We focus, ANRI focus on preserving the physical archive of film reel. So we call it the film reel era. Then between 2000 and 2010, the digital developed rapidly. It gave impact to the community, to the demand of faster services. And we answer that challenge with transformation, which we call it the videoization era. And I will explain it later, what is videoization. Then between 2010 until 2020, we start the era of digitization with some limitation that we have managed to overcome. And then year 2020 until the next future, we more concerned to the digital matter, digital restoration and other archival digital services. And we launched, or ANRI launched, the Archives Go Digital campaign in our 5th National Archival Day anniversary last month. But unfortunately, as we all know, the COVID-19 pandemic has delayed some of our programs due to the priority of overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. But, we will always keep going and always try to run. Okay, I will now explain in more detail about the transformation we do in overcoming the limitation we have. First, before year 2000, our policy focused on the physical preservation of film reel archive. That is the strategy by maintaining and ensuring the motion picture archive, film reels and video cassettes are always in good condition and accessible. At that time, the most of our human resource to handle this matter were high school graduates or bachelorette graduates. And then the second milestone between year 2000 and 2010, digital is starting to come in Indonesia rapidly, but we have limitation to get there. So we were transforming. Besides still doing the physical preservation as before, our policy is to start information preservation of the film reel archives. We are converting the film reel into video cassettes. That's why we call it as a Digitization era. We did the Digitization to get more efficient in access services compared to the real accessing using very complex projector equipment in term and in human resource matter, we're starting to hire graduate with certain technical skills. And then between year 2010 and 2020, ANRI policy switched the information preservation become priority than the physical preservation. We began to digitize archive in large number, even though at that time there were still many limitations in some digital quality specification. I mean, by standard, we should digitize archives in the highest resolution. But if we do that, we will have no resource. So we digitize in average standard to get more archive in our limited storage. And we began that time and we began to recruit undergraduate level who have information technology skill. And in 2017, we start to build an ADPO or an electronic archival storage for long-term preservation and access, although it is not yet complete. And in 2020 until the near future, we already standardized digitization of archives. We also make a plan of digital restoration program for motion picture archive, video record, but again, unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has delayed some plan, especially which high cost is needed. About the human resource, we recruit undergraduate and graduate level in information technology. And now the strategy of accessing motion picture archive transformation. Before year 2000, the access of motion picture archives, we play the film reel using complex projector equipment. It involves many people to prepare access services, the reading room, the archival storage room, preservation room, and the authenticator officer if the customer asks for a copy of the archive. And it's a need about 4 or until 5 people to involve to provide access service. And then between year 2000 until 2010, access services have become faster because we do a Digitization. As some selected film reels have been converted to video cassettes, which are easier and faster to handle. And we prioritize access services with videotapes with more number of playback compared to projector for film reels, which only 1 unit we have in Archive Nasional. Then, year 2010 until 2020, we provide digital access to motion picture archives, although it is still offline and on-site services. Customer must come to our office and then access the archive using the device we have provided. Access services are becoming faster and less people are involved in providing services. Before, we need 4 until 5 people, and now we only need 2 people. And then In 2020, we have planned an online and real-time motion picture archive access service, which can be done from anywhere and anytime. But again, the plan had to be delayed due to a pandemic. Now we talk about the efficiency of accessing time. For the efficiency of motion picture archive access services, there has been a significant improvement. Before year 2000, a customer need about 16 days to get the service, since registering, viewing, previewing, and getting copy of it. But at the end of year 2020, it only takes time about 3.6 hours or maybe 4 hours to get the same service. We improved significantly about 98% efficiency. And let's hope the COVID-19 pandemic will end soon, so that ANRI can develop a real-time access by carrying out digital preservation, digital restoration to provide a better quality of access. And the last, as closing statement, I want to say there is no limitation, even in limited condition. That's all my presentation. Thank you and come on. Pawarisa, time is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kurniawan, Budi, Santoso, for the amazing presentation. And now we are going to the question and answer section. And yes, I think I see one question in the Q&A box for the Vietnam Film Institute, but I think Mr. Lê Tuan already answered the question. And okay, and this is my question about both of you. Okay, in your opinion, your experience, what is the most challenging things for the archivist and for your work in the pandemic situation now? Okay, who is the first to answer this question?
Okay, maybe I try to be the first, Pawarisa. The most challenging for the archivist is during the pandemic, COVID-19, and maybe during pandemic, we should do working from home. But you know, the archive is in our office. So that's the most challenging. So the archivist cannot do the work normally because there's no archive in our home, right? The archive is in the office. So that's maybe the most challenging situation during the pandemic.
Thank you very much. And for Mr. Lê Tuan, what is the more challenges for your organization in the pandemic situation now?
Most challenges in our organization in the pandemic time is we cannot exploit our film, cannot show film, so our document to the social. We also don't have online or show. We cannot show through the internet or something like that. So I think that's the most challenges. We cannot exploit our collection, cannot show it to the people, to the social.
Thank you very much for your answer. And I think we have more questions in a Q&A box that for Mr. Santoso, has there been a challenge on copyright on audiovisual preservation and access in Indonesia?
Can you repeat the question, Pawarisa?
Okay, sure. Yes. Has there been a challenge on copyright on audiovisual preservation and access in Indonesia?
Yes, it's about copyright, right? Yes, we have what can I say? We have rules about a copyright to have a copy of archives in Indonesia. If someone, a customer, or maybe someone want to get the copy from our national archive, our officer will make a piece of paper that mention the copyright of the copy of the archives, and that's about the permanent archive, but we also have the rule about the archive that someone should ask the license from the owner of the archive, Then if they get the license or they get a permission from the owner of the archive that that we save or we have the archive in National Archive, National Archive can make the paper of license, the paper of copyright for him. Maybe that's my answer, Pawarisa.
Thank you. And the next question, okay, from the Philippines Main Archive, to both for you, for your digitization storage, what storage system do you use, and what type of RAID system do you maintain? Excuse me, would you like me to repeat the question? Okay, for the question to both of you, for your digital storage, what storage system do you use, and what type of RAID system do you maintain?
At this moment, we are using some digital system for storage via NAS, like sounds, but almost it's NAS, but the capacity of the storage is very limited. We cannot use it to preserve our data for long term. Or can we use this for storage later for the short term when we digitize, we save in storage, and after that we have to migrate the data to the actual tape or off the hard drive. They cannot use for long term because the capacity very limited.
Okay, thank you. And what about you, Budi?
Okay. In Indonesia, we have two different storage, Pawarisa. We have two different storage for two different purposes. One, we have storage for access. And the second, we have storage for long-term preservation in digital archive. For the purpose of accessing, we use maybe the same thing like mentioned by Liu Tan. We use NAS or network access storage, just like a regular hard drive. And then for the long-term preservation, we use the storage with WORM system, WORM, write once and read many system. If I can mention the brand, we use Silent Cube and Silent Brick from Avast. That's our storage to keep the digital archive. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have the question, yes, from the Philippine Film Archive for the Vietnam. Okay, Mr. Lê Tuan Anh, how do you deal with the employment status of undergraduate? And are they considered regular permanent employee of the archives?
Up to now, as I know, there is no undergraduate person working in Vietnam. Almost have to graduate accounting. I'm not sure because I'm not in the personnel. I'm not sure about this answer, but that's what I know.
Okay, thank you. And the next questions from Mr. Nobuki Yoshiyama for Budi. Thank you for your presentation. And could you please introduce your Tsunami Archive? And does it have any website?
Can you repeat, Pawarisa?
Okay, sure.
Please.
Yes. Could you please introduce your Tsunami Archive? And does it have any website?
Oh, thank you. For motion picture archive, we not yet publish in a website. We still do the offline and on-site services for accessing, but for other kind of archive, just for example, textual archive, photograph, you can access our website. For example, you can access VOZ archive in sejarah.nusantara.anri.go.id. Maybe that's my answer, Pawarisa. So for motion picture, we not yet publish in our website. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And the next question, I'm not sure I can pronounce the right name. June Paul, right? I'm not sure. Yes, but the question is for Mr. Budi. Okay. Were there any efforts from the National Archive of Indonesia to collect the COVID-19 related materials during this pandemic? And also, did the reproduction request fall or increase during this period?
Thank you. It's about COVID-19 pandemic archives. Yes, we have a national program to preserve the archive related to pandemic COVID-19, and this has become a national program. And maybe later, if someone wants to access and need a copy, I think they can get the copy. That's maybe my answer, Pawarisa.
Okay, thank you. And yes, the Philippine Film Archive yes, told me that they have the same question for Mr. Budi. How do you deal with the employment status of undergraduate, and are they considered regular permanent employee of the archives?
Okay, it's about employee and
yes,
human resource.
Right.
As I mentioned in my presentation, now for preservation, start from 2010, we start to recruit undergraduate with IT information technology skill, a major in IT technology, and yes, they become the employee state. But some of them we have, but so little or so few employee that is contract, so not a state of employee.
Okay, thank you. And I think I have the question about the employing again from Dave Dadubo. For both of you, could you please speak about the speaking of employing undergraduate students? How do you check the quality of work they do, and they are not yet professional, right?
Yes, thank you. How to check the quality of the job of the employee? We have several standard operating procedure of SOP, and there is also the standard. We always check regularly the result of the job of the employee, all of employee. If the result of digitization, for example, is under the standard, so they have to repeat their job again. Like that, Pawarisa, we have this SOP and standard, and also checklist for to control the quality of the job.
Okay, thank you. And what about the Vietnam Film Institute? So do you have how do you check the quality of the work they do for the undergraduate student or employee?
As I know, with myself, I also have to get some copy of the research paper to the office to show the office to confirm. We don't we cannot check online at this moment.
Okay, yes. And I think, okay, yeah. And I think this is the question from STU Pawarisa to Mr. Santoso. And the question is, do all the regional archives in the National Archive of Indonesia system also hold film and audiovisual materials? And or are they all sent to the central archives in Jakarta?
Can you repeat again?
Okay, sure. Yeah,
Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. I think this is the last question for this session from Pawarisa to Budi. The question is, do all of the regional archives in the National Archive of Indonesia system also hold film and audiovisual materials?
Yes, it's about original motion picture archive, right? Yes, we have original material of motion picture archive in our office in Jakarta. And from the material, from the original material, from that we call it master copy, we made some copy to in digital, for example, in CD or DVD. That CD and DVD, we use people to access the archive, our archive.
Okay, thank you. And yes, I think we already done for the Q&A. And thank you again, Mr. Tuan and Mr. Kurniawan Budi Santoso for answering the question and for the great presentation today. It was a pleasure to have you with us. And thank you, the host, Vietnam Film Institute, for the great organizing. And thank you everyone for attending this session. And for the next session, the case study of change management, part 2 will start at 2 p.m. Vietnam time. And please come back to join us and have a good day. See you.
See you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Cảm ơn.